My beloved one, listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you will change the way you see this season forever. You have been asking me questions. Quiet questions. Honest questions. Questions you didn't even say out loud, but felt deeply in your heart. Why is this taking so long? Why does nothing seem to be changing? Why does it feel like I'm standing still while everyone else is moving forward? I heard every one of them. Not one was ignored. Not one was too small. Not one was lost in the silence. But you must understand something that your current perspective cannot yet fully see. You were not standing still. You were being prepared. What felt like delay to you was actually alignment. What felt like silence was actually precision. What felt like nothing was actually deep, invisible movement in places you could not yet reach with your awareness. You were looking for change in your circumstances, but I was working on something far more important. I was changing you. You see, visible change is easy for me. I can shift circumstances in a moment. I can open doors instantly. I can move people, situations, and outcomes with a single word. But if I changed everything around you, without first strengthening what is within you, the blessing would become a burden. The opportunity would overwhelm you, and the very thing you prayed for would not last. So I took you deeper, not to punish you, not to delay your life, but to build a foundation that cannot be shaken. Think about the ocean. From the surface, it looks restless, constantly moving, constantly changing. But go deeper, and everything becomes still, calm, anchored, unmoved by the storms above. That is where I have been taking you, into a depth where your peace is no longer dependent on what is happening around you, into a place where your identity is no longer shaped by people's opinions, successes, or failures, into a space where you know who you are because you know who you belong to. You thought you were losing confidence, but what you were actually losing was dependence on the wrong things. You thought you were becoming weaker, but what was really happening was that your false strength was being replaced with real strength, the kind that doesn't come from control, but from trust. Let me tell you something you need to hear clearly. Nothing you went through was wasted. Not the confusion, not the waiting, not the moments you almost gave up, not even the days you felt like you were failing. Every single part of it was used, refined, reworked, transformed into something that is now becoming part of your strength. You were not being buried. You were being planted. And there's a difference. When something is buried, it is hidden with no purpose. But when something is planted, it is placed intentionally, with a future already decided, with growth already planned, with life already inside it. And you, my beloved, were never empty. You were full of potential you had not yet seen, full of strength you had not yet needed, full of purpose you had not yet stepped into. That is why the process felt so intense, because what I am building in you is not small. You asked me for a new life. But a new life requires a new mindset, a new heart, a new way of seeing. And that transformation cannot happen on the surface. It must happen at the core. So yes, there were moments you felt alone. Moments where it felt like I wasn't answering. Moments where it felt like I was distant. But hear me clearly now. I have never been closer to you than I was in those moments. I was there when you were overthinking at night. I was there when you felt like giving up, but didn't. I was there in the quiet decisions no one saw. When you chose patience over reaction. When you chose silence over anger. When you chose to stay instead of walk away. Those moments mattered more than you realize. Because that is where your transformation truly began. You were becoming someone new. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. But deeply. And now, you are starting to feel it, aren't you? A shift. Subtle but real. You're not reacting the same way anymore. You're not thinking the same way anymore. You're not chasing the same things anymore. That is not random. That is not coincidence. That is the evidence of what I have been doing in you all along. And now we are entering a new season. Not because time simply passed, but because you are ready. Ready to handle what once would have overwhelmed you. Ready to walk into what once would have scared you. Ready to carry what once would have broken you. The doors you have been waiting for will open. But this time, you will not walk through them as the same person. You will walk through them with clarity, with strength, with peace that does not depend on outcomes, with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing You are being led. So stop doubting the process. Stop questioning whether anything is happening. Stop measuring your progress only by what you can see. Because the most important work was never meant to be seen immediately. It was meant to be rooted, to be secured, to become part of you. And now, it is. Trust this next step, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if it stretches you, even if it requires courage, because you are not who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. And that is something no delay could ever stop. Stay with me. Walk with me. Trust me. Everything you have been waiting for is already on its way. My child, come closer, because I want to speak to the place in you that has been carrying more than it was ever meant to carry alone. You have been strong for a long time, stronger than people know, stronger than you ever expected to be. You learned how to keep going, even when you were tired, how to smile, even when something inside you was breaking, how to show up, even when your heart was asking for rest. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that this was who you had to be all the time, unshaken, unbothered, always holding everything together. But listen to me carefully. You were never created to carry everything by yourself. Strength was never meant to feel like isolation, and endurance was never meant to replace connection. I have been watching you, not from a distance, but from within every moment you thought you had to handle alone. I saw the moments when you held back your tears. I saw the thoughts you didn't share with anyone. I saw the weight you kept pushing down, telling yourself, I'll deal with it later. But later kept moving, and the weight kept growing. And now, you feel it, don't you? That quiet exhaustion, not just physical, but emotional, spiritual, a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought maybe you were losing your strength. But that is not what is happening. You are not breaking down. You are being invited to lay things down. There is a difference. Breaking happens when something collapses under pressure. But surrender is a choice, a holy exchange, where you stop holding what was never yours to carry and place it into hands that can actually sustain it. You have been trying to control outcomes, trying to predict what will happen next, trying to make sure everything works out, because somewhere deep inside, you believed that if you didn't hold it all together, everything would fall apart. But hear me clearly. You are not the one holding your life together. I am, and I have never dropped it. Not once. Even in your most uncertain moments. Even in the decisions you questioned. Even in the paths that didn't go the way you planned. I was there, guiding, adjusting, protecting, working behind outcomes you didn't understand. You don't have to figure everything out right now. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to carry tomorrow while you are still living today. What I am asking from you is simple, but not easy. Trust me, with the things you keep trying to fix alone. That situation you keep replaying in your mind. Give it to me. That fear about the future. Give it to me. That pressure to be enough for everyone. Give it to me. Not because you are incapable, but because you were never meant to do it without me. Let me show you something. Think about a river. When it flows freely, it moves with strength and direction. But when it is blocked, it builds pressure. It becomes restless. It begins to overflow in ways that create damage. That is what has been happening inside you. Not because you are weak, but because you have been holding too much in one place. And today, I am opening a new path. Not by removing everything instantly, but by teaching you how to release what no longer belongs in your hands. This is where your peace begins. Not when everything is solved. Not when every answer is clear. But when you finally stop carrying what is not yours. You are allowed to rest. Not quit, but rest. Not give up, but lean on me. There's a version of you emerging right now. A quieter strength. A deeper peace. A steadiness that doesn't come from control, but from connection. You are learning to trust differently. Not based on what you see, but based on who is with you. And that changes everything. Soon, you will look back at this season, and instead of remembering only the pressure, you will see the transformation. You will see how you became softer in the right places, stronger in the right ways, wiser without becoming hardened. You will realize that this was the moment. You stopped surviving and started living. So breathe, slow down, release the weight. You are not alone. You have never been alone, and you never will be. Walk with me, one step at a time. That is all you need to do, and I will take care of the rest. My dear one, I know you've been trying to understand why things didn't turn out the way you hoped. You had a picture in your mind, a plan, a direction you believed your life would take. You prayed about it. You worked for it. You believed in it. And when it didn't happen, something inside you quietly asked, did I do something wrong? Did I miss my chance? Did I lose what was meant for me? Listen to me carefully. You did not miss your life. Nothing that is truly meant for you can be lost by one moment, one mistake, or one delay. What is aligned with your purpose will find its way to you. I saw the doors that closed, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that didn't last. And I also saw the confusion it created inside you. Because from your perspective, it looked like loss. But from mine, it was protection. You were asking me to open a door without seeing what was behind it. You were asking for something that looked right, but wasn't built to sustain you. If I had allowed it, it would have cost you more than you realize. Your peace, your identity, your direction. So I closed it, not to punish you, but to preserve you. I know it didn't feel like protection. It felt like rejection. It felt like disappointment. It felt like silence. But I need you to understand something deeper. Not every closed door is a loss. Some are redirections. There's a path unfolding in your life right now. It doesn't look like what you expected. It doesn't feel as clear as you wanted, but it is leading you somewhere more aligned, more stable, more true to who you are becoming. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not out of time. You are in transition, and transition always feels uncomfortable because you are no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you are becoming. That space in between, that uncertainty, that feeling of not fully belonging anywhere, that is where growth is happening. You are shedding an old version of yourself, old expectations, old definitions of success, old ways of measuring your worth. And yes, that process can feel like loss, because even the things that are not meant to stay still meant something to you. But let me ask you something. Would you rather hold on to something familiar or step into something better? Because often, you cannot have both. You have been holding on to what you thought your life should look like, and it has been preventing you from seeing what your life is actually becoming. Lift your eyes. Look again. There are new opportunities around you, new directions opening, new parts of yourself emerging, but they require something from you. Willingness to let go of what didn't work, not with bitterness, not with regret, but with trust. Trust that I see what you cannot. Trust that I know what will truly fulfill you. Trust that I am not taking from you. I am repositioning you. There is something ahead of you that fits you better than anything behind you. Something that aligns not just with your desires, but with your growth, your purpose, your future. And when you arrive there, you will understand why certain things had to end. Not immediately, not all at once, but slowly, clearly, undeniably. So stop looking at the closed doors as failures. Stop replaying what could have been. Stop questioning your worth based on outcomes that were never meant to define you. You are still on your path. You are still being guided. You are still becoming. Nothing has been wasted. Not your effort. Not your prayers. Not even your disappointment. Everything is being used. Everything is being shaped. Everything is being redirected towards something greater than you imagined. So take the next step. Even if it's small, even if it feels uncertain, even if you don't have the full picture. Because clarity doesn't always come before movement. Sometimes, it comes after you trust enough to move forward. And I am with you in that step. In every step. You didn't miss your life. You are being led into it.